Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Friday, everyone. So Sarah here, CEO of Biz Credit Builds. And the reason that I'm coming into you today is to teach you what is needed to get an SBA loan. If you haven't already joined the She Is Still Dope network, please do so. Go over to www.sheisstilldope.com and join. I'm Sarah, your host. Every Friday, I'm bringing to you financial and business literacy, and my show is Bank on Women. You catch me every Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I appreciate you being here, and we are going to jump right in. Before I start, though, if you haven't visited us on Facebook, please do so. Literally, She Is Still Dope has a new Facebook group. They're doing the She Is Still Dope Inner Circle. And the Inner Circle membership is free, right? Birds of a feather flock together. In other words, your circle influences the things that you do. It dictates your path, like Oprah says. And for me, I literally want you to go and join. Women, don't just be women, right? Let's be held accountable. Let's be inspired. Let's connect. Let's be blessed. Let's be dope, right? Miss Bailey, who runs this, is doing an amazing job of bringing women from all backgrounds together to serve. And the hope is that you literally can take from whatever these other women of all denominations are bringing, okay? If you haven't joined my Facebook group, please do so. Biz Credit Builds, that's B-I-Z Credit, builds with an S. And the premise of my group is to teach you, each one teach one, so you learn about business credit for free. So if you haven't joined, hey, Sherry, please do join. But I'm excited to pour into you women and men also. Again, you can also find me on Instagram at Biz Credit Builds Official, and my private page, which is always super funny. I am definitely bringing the word there at iamsarahsabastro.com. So if you literally, you can find me on Instagram at I am Sarah Sabastro also. But please tune in. Take the time to share this link because I'm about to pour into you as usual. Grab your pen and paper so you can take some notes, because I am definitely going to be sharing some super, super dope information that I want you to take in. So today, as I mentioned earlier, we are going to be taking a deep dive into what is needed to get an SBA loan with, right now we're in the middle of COVID, right? And I don't see it ending anytime soon. So what I am encouraging small businesses to do is to take advantage of some of the things that SBA has. The SBA, literally, it prides itself on being an intercessor between the government and small businesses. They advocate on your behalf. If you haven't already reached out to your local SBA office, I recommend that you do. They always have some really, really great programs that are happening, SCORE being one of them. They literally hold your hand and teach you how to write business plans, how to get your financials together. And literally, I'm part of my local SBA and Atlanta's SBA because I do a lot of business there, and it's always super dope to see what kind of things they have going on. So right now, with COVID related incidents that are happening, they have the PPP who just ended back in June of 2021. But PPP was related to the Paycheck Protection Program, and it covered wages. So if you had employees that were W-2 or you yourself were your only employee, then they gave you the opportunity to get some funds, and those funds were eligible for forgiveness if you use 60 to 70% of those funds on paycheck related expenses. So on your employees, on payroll. They are still accepting forgiveness applications, and they probably will for a very long time. To apply for forgiveness is super straightforward. I know my office does it for those who are looking for assistance and help, but literally you had to use that money in a 24-week period, and then you have to show proof that you utilize those expenses. So your payroll statements, you can give them your 941s if you filed your taxes quarterly. And then on top of that, you can also provide them with your eligible expenses, right? Outside of the 60%, if you had to use money to help with mortgage interest that was in your business name, or anything related to utilities, internet, cell phone that were all in your business names, those expenses were covered, and lease payments. So if you had a lease that was in your business name, it was also covered. So those three things. But again, PPP is now over. So if you haven't already taken advantage of getting it forgiven, then please work on doing so. It's a super straightforward process. If not, you can always reach out to my office and they will help you. There is a cost involved because, of course, we have to charge you for consulting and for actually doing the application on your behalf. But this is something that you can do yourself. It's super straightforward. Let's dive right in. So as I shared before, we are going to be talking about today, we're going to be talking about what you need or what is needed to get an SBA loan and the steps that you need to take care of to get approved, okay? What does the SBA do? So the SBA is the Small Business Administration. It does, the Small Business Administration does not actually loan the money. Instead, it acts as a fiduciary resource, and they set guidelines to protect small businesses like us from the government. Because the SBA guarantees these loans, the rates are more favorable, the terms are more flexible, and again, they put things in place to protect small businesses like us. But the SBA says real estate investing, for an example, is too high risk for them, so they don't serve all businesses, just most. Not every company can qualify for an SBA loan. For those that are able to, the SBA can come to the rescue and get you funding. Be aware that because we're talking about government entities, you have to, there are so many guidelines that are required in order to process your loan, because they work with the government and they're that person in the middle who makes things easier for us. And they give us all of these favorable loan terms and interest rates. They require a lot of paperwork. So most small businesses kind of shy away from it. But I always recommend that you just do it. Most of the paperwork that they ask for, you should have in line anyways, because we're small businesses and we need to be operating like small businesses. So the paperwork is straightforward. A lot of us just don't have it in order. So the SBA, or the Small Business Administration, they have various cap line loan programs, and they have the SBA Express. The SBA's lending partners actually make the loans. The SBA offers also research grants. So there are some grants that are SBA related if your company engages in scientific research and development. I love the Small Business Administration because they are essentially brought in to help gauge and educate you also. So most people aren't aware of that, but there are quite a few grants that the SBA offers, research being one of them. So scores that the SBA wants your company to have, right? So the SBA uses a FICO SBSS score, right? It's basically called the Small Business Scoring Service. And this score reflects the likelihood of an applicant paying their bills timely. That's why it's so important that we start building business credit. So the COVID-related SBA products don't require this score. They require a personal FICO score of at least 620. But if you want a regular SBA Small Business Administration loan, they pull your small business scoring service score, which is done through FICO. If you have a NAV account, www.nav.com, you have a paid NAV account, which is what I have. And I always recommend it to everybody because you can put at least 5 of your businesses through this NAV paid account. I think it's $149 quarterly, but it gives you all of your scores. So it gives you your Dun & Bradstreet score. It gives you your Experian business score. It also gives you your Equifax risk score and your SBA FICO score, your SBSS score. So it may be in your best interest to do that or invest in that if you are trying to build small business credit. It also reports as a trade line to help you build your business credit on a monthly basis. So I always recommend that people do get a small, like a paid NAV account, and that's www.nav.com, because it's a way to track and literally monitor your scores. You can add up to 5 different businesses under your profile on there. So it just might be in your best interest to do that. Scores range from 0 to 300 on the SBSS side. The higher score means a lower risk. So it's in your best interest to probably invest in that. The higher the score that you have, the better. Personal and business credit history plus financial data go into the total scoring calculation for the FICO SBSS. So keep that in mind. For SBA loans, you will not be approved with the score under 140. So you need to know what this score is before you apply for one. If you're going through a brokerage like myself, we pull those scores and we make sure that you qualify before we even waste our time with the application, because as I mentioned earlier in the previous slides, the amount of information that is required is a whole lot. This is not a regular application or loan application that you're going through a bank or a lending institution. This is it. They get in deep. However, they typically set a cutoff as high as 160 to qualify. Below that, you will probably be denied because you're too high of a risk. Chances are a good an SBA lender won't even submit your application to the SBA if your score doesn't meet the threshold. So keep that in mind. You usually need to show some time in business, 2 years preferred. They do have some SBA Express loans that you can get away with 1 year or even 6 months. But because of your time, you would likely be looked at as a risk. The most popular SBA loan for working capital is a 7A loan. The approvals go up to $750,000. Now it's capped up at $1.5 million because of COVID. Rates are usually between 2 to 4% above the prime rate, which is beautiful. You don't get that very many places. And all owners with more than 20% of ownership must provide a personal guarantee. What does a personal guarantee mean? It essentially means that you're going to have a UCC filing and that they are, if you don't pay this loan, they're going to come after your personal assets. And this is going to show on your personal credit report and your business credit report. Good consumer credit is required. As I mentioned before, you're going to need to have at least over a 620 FICO score. On paperwork, you must demonstrate a need for the funds, right? They're going to ask you to have a business case or a justification for why you need the funds, and a sound business purpose in mind, right? They want to see your business plan. They're going to want to see, what your goal is and how you plan on getting there. So projection statements. Your business must meet the SBA side standards. You cannot go in just as so I have so many people who are they're basically a single member LLC that won't meet the size requirements. You have to have employees, even if they're contractual employees, but you must meet their business standards. And all of this information is essentially available online, and it literally is available to the public on SBA.com. And it must be considered small within your particular industry. So if you ever fill out an SBA application, you can't have 500 or more employees. That would be not considered a small business. You have to operate for profit, and you must have a responsible equity to invest, a reasonable equity to invest. What does that mean? That means that you have to bring something to the table. You have to have closing costs. You have to have something on your end to invest. A company must do or propose to do business in the United States or its possessions. So you can't do business outside of the United States. Like, your main business needs to be here and your employees need to be here. Plus, the company must have tried to use other financial resources. So part of your business justification, you need to put in there that, you've gotten denied. Like, when I've done a business justification for a 7(a) loan, I have put in denials from your personal banking institution, or a limited approval, which essentially means that I tried to borrow from the bank, but they're only giving me $20,000 and I need $500,000, because with $20,000, I can't do what I'm trying to do. Plus you need to include your personal assets, AKA bootstrapping. What do I mean by that? Like, they're going to want to see a list of your assets, whether they're personal or business, because they want to see your inventory. They want to see what you already have done to try to get your business plan across. All right. The 7(a) program allowed for loans amount up to $5 million, right? As I mentioned before, you can use them for startup costs. You can use them to buy equipment. You can also use it, and a lot of people don't know this, to buy new land. This includes construction costs. You can use it to repair existing capital, right? Because of COVID, there's been so many people who haven't just had, they haven't had an opportunity to kind of catch up with bills, because, they've taken such a hard hit because of COVID. You can use it to buy or extend your existing business. You could use it to refinance existing debt. I know I had a client who we got a $750,000 loan for, and the actual business itself, we needed $500K, but we asked for $750 because they were paying 22% on an existing loan that was killing them. So they were able to refinance that existing debt and pay it off, and then use the $500,000 for their actual plans, because it was killing them, the business on the loan side, with what they already had, and they were literally struggling to make those payments. You could use it to buy machinery, fixtures, furniture, supplies, and materials. Flexibility, longer terms and potential lower down payments versus financing options. Plus, there's specialized programs for entrepreneurs. So if you are interested in exporting or manufacturing, located in underserved communities. So if you are in a rural area that is literally a low income community, you will have more of a, you get approved faster. If you are serving those members of the military community, and if you are looking to meet short-term and cycle working capital needs, all of those things literally put you at the top of the line for the approval. Payment terms, as I mentioned before, they give you more favorable payment terms. So keep in mind that this is not your typical term loan that you get from a banking institution. Such loans are repaid with monthly payments of principal and interest. For fixed rate loans, the payments stay the same since the interest rate is consistent. For variable loan rates, which it's very rare that they give you a variable loan rate, most of them are fixed rate loans. A lender can require a different size payment amount when the interest rate changes. So this wouldn't apply to you because they make it easier for you. And outside of the 7A repayment terms, there is right now EIDL, which most people aren't aware of, and I'm going to get into that later down this slide. But keep in mind that the terms they're giving you right now are amazing, and I've never seen them in the whole time that I've been doing small business loans. All right, another one is Sba Cap Lines. I actually have one of these, so I am. It literally it's super favorable. So when businesses like you or anyone else are doing we do construction and development. So we use it when we're in the middle of a job for materials and such things. But according to the SBA, Cap Lines is an umbrella program used which SBA helps business owners meet short-term and cyclical working capital needs. So for me, I use it to buy materials when we're in a job or when we're trying to close a job, and then I pay it off net 30 or 60 or even 90 when I get paid by the person who we're contracting work from. Most times that's myself. So when we flip a house, then we pay it off. If we keep the house, then we literally just try to pay it off as soon as we can. Loan amounts go up to $5 million. Loan qualification requirements are the same with all the other SBA programs, and loan and revolving lines are available. So we have a revolving one. These are just some examples of cap lines. So I mentioned the builder line, which is the one that I have, but I'm going to go down each and every one of them. Seasonal lines, they're advances against anticipated inventory, accounts receivable, meant to help seasonal businesses. I have someone who, I have all kind of clients, but this is super helpful for people who throw like Black Friday sales and Christmas sales, or even have swimsuit lines. So like literally in the winter, they're getting ready to launch their swimsuit line. They need capital to get that up and running. A contract line. Contract lines are financed direct labor and material costs associated with performing assignable contracts. So I recommend this for truck drivers, people who have trucking companies, because most of them are paid in 30 or 60 or even 90-day terms or after the contract. So when you need material or labor up front, this is what you could use. A builder's line. We're general contractors and builders, and we're renovating commercial and residential buildings. So we use it for labor and material costs, as I mentioned before, and then we pay it off. Mine is revolving. A standard asset-based line, which is for business unable to meet credit standards associated with long-term credit. They essentially give you a cycle growth or recurring on short-term needs. So they might start off with, I'm going to give you a 6-month line of credit. And then if you pay it off, then I'll up the terms and the credit line, and then I'll give you now a year for your next project, because now you've already kind of built a relationship or a rapport. Repayment from this is converting from short term into cash. So again, they may ask you to justify or send in a physical request with what you need it for, and then they'll let it go into your account, but someone has to approve it. But again, it all depends. These lines are literally used for short-term asset purposes and or short-term needs. And then what you do is you build a relationship, and then they can turn into revolving based on how fast you pay it off and how responsible you are with paying on time and ahead of time or more than what you owe. So they're definitely looking at all those things. Small asset-based lines are asset-based revolving lines of credit. It operates like asset-based line, except some of stricter service requirements are waived if the business can consistently show repayment ability and cash flow for the full amount. So if you have it, pay it off, because they are definitely looking at that. SBA loans. An SBA Express is a faster mean of securing an SBA loan. Loans go up to only $250,000. Rates are usually from 2 to 4% above the prime rate. This is most likely available as a Community Express for low and moderate income entrepreneurs. So if you're starting off, right, and you're a new business and you don't have that much employees and you don't have that much cash flow, this may be an option for you. SBA Express also offers an access to a credit line for well-qualified buyers. So I do this sometimes for my people who are looking to get a line of credit. Approvals are up to $350. Interest rates vary. The SBA lets banks charge up to 6.5% of their base rate. And then over 25,000 required collateral is loans for over 25,000 require collateral. They need the following things to for the approval: a balance sheet and income sheet, accounts receivable, collateral statement or inventory list, articles of incorporation, business licenses, and contracts with third parties. So if you, I see this a lot when I know when I started in IT, I literally would get a contract or a letter of a commitment from someone who was giving me a contract, and then I would use that and essentially a business plan and say, hey, I need money up front because they have essentially given me this contract and I have a letter of commitment from them, and but they don't pay me. They pay me on a biannual basis. So they pay me, I know with the government or with the state, they literally have 2 times a year where they disperse you that money. And if you're working that loan from January to September and you don't get your money until September, you need to pay your employees and operate like a business until September, until they give you, or they, you know, once you win it, you have to wait for them to disperse that money to you. So most times you utilize this type of loan because your back is up against the wall, and then you pay it off once that contract comes through and they pay you a disbursement. You can also use it for a lease. They're going to require a lease or a copy of a lease to show proof that you are operating as a real business. And most of this information is super straightforward, and you can get it from your CPA, or you, if you have QuickBooks yourself, you can conjure up these things that are needed. A 504 loan through the SBA is the second most popular loan type, Oftentimes it's used to buy land, equipment, or real estate. The banks fund the loan. The SBA generally guarantees up to 40% of it. You can usually get a loan up to $1 million. Typically, you need to contribute 10% of the equity. So in what most people do, if they're going to buy land or a business to develop, they essentially, just like a conventional loan, you need at least 10% in your bank account to be approved for the loan. You must operate your business for profit. You must have a business plan and management expertise. Like, they're not going to give this to somebody who is just starting off. You need to have a resume, especially if you're flipping or fixing or doing this for real estate purposes. I'm not saying that it's always required, but they're definitely going to want to know how much you know or your resume about this. You must be doing business in the United States and its territories, as I mentioned before. The company must have tried to use other financing. They're going to, again, do bootstrapping, because this needs to include your personal assets, right? They are going to be super nosy about everything. So they're going to want to know all of your business. Your business must have a tangible net worth of under 15 million. Your business must have an average net income of less than 5 million after taxes for the last 2 years. A business must be able to repay the loan on time for its projected operation cash flow. Maximum loan amounts are determined by usage for land and buildings. The loan terms the loan terms are up to 20 years. It's a 10-year term for machinery and equipment. So if you're doing a land or a building, they do 20-year terms. But if it's literally machinery or equipment, it's only 10 years. The 7M is a micro loan program. It's for loans up to $35,000 for working capital and growth. This is usually your average startup loan. So this means you're brand new in the business. Average loan amounts are up to $10,000 to start off. Remember what I mentioned, they want to build a relationship, but these funds are specifically for people who are starting off and don't meet all the other requirements. The funds come straight from the SBA, so they're not backed up by the bank. And it's unlikely the 7A where the funds come from a bank. As I mentioned before, everything comes straight for the SBA. The SBA's micro loan program provides short-term loans up to $50K to help small businesses who are in startup and expanding. The average micro loan amount is about $13,000. The SBA makes funds available through especially designated intermediary lenders. Most of these intermediary lenders are small people like me, third-party lenders, or community-based banks or organizations that have experience with lending, management, and technical assistance. So these people like myself, they make loans to eligible borrowers. So we kind of do an intake of what you have, and we pre-qualify you before we even apply. Want to make sure that you qualify. Microloans have to be repaid in 6 years, right? So you're not getting a 10-year or 20-year terms. They're used for working capital, for buying inventory or supplies, purchasing furniture or fixtures, buying machinery or equipment. So as I mentioned before, literally you can get these loans, and there are quite a few of them. But I wanted to talk about the most recent products that are available through the SBA. So right now they have Eidl. Right now, Eidl started 2 years ago, and it's the economic injury disaster loan, and it's coming directly from the SBA. And right now it's 30-year terms. You don't get those terms anywhere ever. 30-year terms, you heard me. Right now, the first Eidl, the first version of it was up to $500,000, and now they have increased it to $2.2 million. So those terms come with a 3.75% interest rate, which is still amazing. 2 years payments deferred. So you don't have no payment for 2 years. And if you're a nonprofit, that EIDL interest rate goes to 2.75 with 30-year terms. You heard me. That's amazing. The requirements are that your business is in good standing, right? That you have an economic need, right? So you have to have a plan around what you're going to do with this money, and that you have to have a personal FICO score of 620. They are going to require your taxes for 2019 and 2020. If you don't have your taxes, you can simply fill out a 4506T, and at the bottom, number 7 is a certificate of non-filing, basically a test that you didn't file your taxes yet. Now, you cannot be a dormant business. What do I mean by that? A dormant business essentially means that you haven't operated like a business. You don't have a business bank account. You don't have money coming in and out of your accounts. And essentially apply, because you're going to get denied, because your business is going to come back unverifiable. So I've had some people saying, I got denied, Miss Sarah, because my business has come back unverifiable. You have to indeed operate like a business. You have to have a business bank account. These funds cannot go into your personal account. I also get a lot of people asking me, can you apply for EIDL as a sole proprietor? Absolutely. I've done some people who are sole proprietors. So as a sole proprietor, you can apply and you will be approved. You don't have to have an LLC. But let's keep in mind that, when you're moving ethically, you have to definitely move in a manner that is going to get you approved. Most people have not gotten approved or gotten denied because their business information don't match, or you are just putting any numbers down there. They're going to verify your information. So please don't just put anything on your application, because when that caseworker gets to your case and wants to work your file, there's going to be some supporting documentation that you're going to have to submit to justify that. They're going to ask you, how many employees do you have? It's the honesty part for me, right? If you had 10 employees, but now you only have 1, then you put that down, because they're going by your numbers from last year, 2020 and 2019. They're going to be asking for your goods and services, your gross net income. And literally, if you do not know how to do it yourself, try to get someone to help you to fill it out. And there may be a cost involved, but it beats getting a denial or not qualifying at all, right? So that sometimes means that, like, if you come to a brokerage like Miss Sarah, she's going to look at your taxes, right? And she may make you amend them, right? Because we got to fix things. This is the season of fixing. This is not the season of going in and, being unethical and lying on an application. No, what's for you is for you, and no one can interrupt. So, like, you have to go into it like with a plan. And You're dealing with the government, so please don't lie on your application. If you've already gotten an EIDL, because I have quite a few people who have come to me who have already gotten an EIDL, but you only got 20 or 30K. Some people only got 10 or 15. You can do a reconsideration, right? Most of my reconsiderations that I do on behalf of people are like, listen, I did this myself and I didn't know how to fill it out correctly. Now I'm dealing with a professional brokerage or CPA office that is going to do it on my behalf. I need to amend some things. These are my real numbers. Can we please do a reconsideration for the amount that you lend me originally? And I'd also like an increase. And they're going to be like, okay. So we just have to be honest. EIDL is running through December the 31st, 2021. It's 30-year terms, 3.75% interest. You're not going to get those terms ever. Ever, ever, ever. So please take advantage of that. Please, please, please take advantage of that. You can apply yourself through the SBA website, www.sba.gov. And literally, these things are super, super straightforward. There are also grants on there. So if your business is in an area where it's a low income area, you may qualify up to a $10,000 loan just because of the area that your office is located. And then you also may qualify for an employee grant up to $10,000, $1,000 per employee. So keep in mind that all of these resources are available to you, but you have to do your due diligence to apply. I know in Maryland right now they have Project Restore. So they're covering up to 2-year and lease and mortgage payments to help run your business. They're actually giving it away. I think that closes October the 8th. And I'll be doing a live in concerns to that later today on my page if you're in Maryland. But your city and state, please check with them. Their housing and development or their small business office has these grants and these things available. All you have to do is apply. Keep that in mind. Well, I appreciate you tuning in. We shared a lot of great things about SBA loans, lines of credits, and also micro loans. And then we went into COVID EIDL loans, but I appreciate you guys tuning in. Check me out next Friday here, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Bank on Women, hosted by me, Sarah, CEO of Biz Credit Builds. If you haven't already done so, please go over to the She Is Still Dope network and literally tune in to all the great things she has going on. Sherry has literally, the network is growing. It's crazy the way she has all kinds of great things going on right now. She has small groups. It's free to join her Facebook group. So all of those things. Also join me on in my Facebook group, Biz Credit Builds, on Facebook. On Instagram, it's Biz Credit Builds Official. And my personal page, I am Sarah Sabastro. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you next week. Bye, guys.